The massive ship appeared without warning. One moment, Earth's skies were clear. The next, a silver vessel larger than any human aircraft carrier, hung over New Seoul like a metal moon. The world held its breath. Captain Do-in Kim stood straight in his pressed uniform. His hands did not shake, but his mouth felt dry. As head of the United Earth Defense Force's 1st Contact Division, he had trained for this day. But training was not reality. "Are you ready, Captain?" asked General Hanna beside him. "As ready as anyone can be to meet aliens, General," said Do-in. The landing pad had been cleared. World leaders watched from safe distances. Cameras broadcast to billions of humans around the globe. This moment would change history forever. The ship's bottom opened. A beam of blue light touched the ground. Through it floated 3 tall figures. The aliens called themselves the Tarian. They stood nearly 7 feet tall with smooth gray skin that shimmered like silk. Their 4-fingered hands moved with careful grace. Their large eyes, 3 of them, blinked rarely. "We welcome you to Earth," Do-in said, following the script planned by Earth's best diplomats. The tallest Tarian stepped forward. "We are pleased to make your acquaintance, humans of Earth. I am Chief Navigator Kelleth of the Galactic Consortium." Its voice came from a small device at its neck, translating its clicks and whistles into perfect English. "We have observed your world for some time," Kelleth continued. "Your species shows remarkable potential, despite your technological limitations." Do-in noticed something in the alien's tone, not exactly rudeness, but something like a teacher speaking to a very young child. The meeting continued for hours. The Tarian explained they led a group of 57 advanced species that worked together across thousands of worlds. They offered Earth membership as a protectorate species, a position that would give humans access to new technologies, medicines, and knowledge. With proper guidance, Kelleth said, humans might advance enough to become full members in just a few centuries. Later, at the private dinner held for the visitors, Do-in watched the Tarian carefully. They studied human food but did not eat it. They examined human art with the interest of scientists looking at bacteria under a microscope. "Your biological diversity fascinates us," one Tarian named Zavel told Do-in. "So much variety, so little control over your genetics. Fascinating." "We prefer natural evolution," Do-in said carefully. "A quaint approach," Zavel replied. "The consortium prefers efficiency." As the night ended, Do-in met with Earth's Security Council in a secure room. "They're offering us the stars," said the council president. "Yes," Do-in agreed, "but at what cost? They speak of Earth like we're children. Did you notice how they examine us? Not as equals, but as specimens." "You think they have other plans?" asked General Hanna. Do-in looked through the window at the massive ship still hanging in the sky. "I don't know, but they've been doing this for thousands of years with dozens of species. This consortium sounds less like a partnership and more like a well-managed zoo. But their technology could solve so many Earth problems," another council member argued. "True," Do-in said, "and that's why we'll accept their offer. For now. But we should be careful. Very careful." The council voted to join the consortium as a protectorate. When Do-in delivered the news, Chief Navigator Kelleth's 3 eyes blinked once. "A wise decision. We begin cultural exchange immediately." As the Tarian returned to their ship, Do-in couldn't shake a feeling of unease. Something cold lived behind those 3 blinking eyes, something that saw humans as resources, not friends. The stars were opening to humanity, but Do-in wondered what waited for them there, and what exactly the Tarian meant by proper guidance. 2 years had passed since the Tarian first came to Earth. Dr. Ju Park looked out the window of her lab at the strange metal tower that now stood in the center of New Seoul. The Tarian called it a knowledge exchange hub. People called it the Silver Spire. From it came amazing new technologies, medicines that cured once deadly diseases, cleaner energy sources, and faster computers. Juwoo's phone rang. She answered it quickly when she saw it was Captain Do-in Kim calling. "Dr. Park," said Do-in, his voice tense. "You've been selected." Juwoo's heart beat faster. Selected for what? The Tarian have invited 5 humans to visit their homeworld. You're one of them. No human had ever left the solar system before. The Tarian had shared some technology, but never offered to take humans into deep space. 3 days later, Juwoo stood with 4 other chosen humans: a political leader, an artist, an engineer, and Captain Doyen himself. The Tarian ship waited for them, smaller than the first one that came to Earth, but still impressive. "Remember why you're there," Doyen whispered to Juwoo as they boarded. "Not just as a scientist, but as Earth's eyes." Their Tarian guide, Xalan, met them inside the ship. "Welcome, distinguished guests. Our journey will take 7 Earth days. You may feel some discomfort when we enter faster than light travel." The discomfort was actually painful. Juwoo felt like her body was being pulled in all directions at once, but it only lasted a few minutes. Then they were truly in deep space, moving faster than any human had ever traveled. During the journey, Xalan showed them images of the consortium worlds. Dozens of alien species lived on hundreds of planets. Each screen showed clean cities, advanced technology, and peaceful societies. "No crime?" asked the political leader. "No conflicts between species?" "The consortium provides guidance to prevent such primitive behaviors," Xalan said. "Each species serves according to their inherent capabilities." Juwoo noticed something odd about the images. "I see many species working, but all the leadership positions seem to be held by Tarian." Xalan's 3 eyes blinked slowly. "The Tarian founded the consortium. We have the most experience. The other species are not yet ready for such responsibility. Even those who joined thousands of years ago." Juwoo asked. "Development takes time," Xalan said, changing the subject quickly. On the 5th day, they passed a massive space station. Unlike the clean, orderly images they had been shown, this station was surrounded by damaged ships. Alien workers moved equipment under the watch of tall figures Juwoo recognized as Tarian. "What's happening there?" Doyen asked. "Resource redistribution," Xalan said. "Some member species require guidance in proper resource management." That night, in the privacy of her room, Juwoo found Doyen waiting for her. "Did you see those workers?" Doyen whispered. "They looked like prisoners." "I saw," Juwoo said. "And did you notice their ships?" The weapons had been removed. Doyen nodded grimly. "This consortium is starting to look more like an empire." On the 7th day, they arrived at the Tarian homeworld. From space, it looked like a perfect blue-green jewel. As they descended, Juwoo saw cities that stretched across entire continents, gleaming with silver and gold towers. "Welcome to Tar Prime," Xalan announced proudly. "The heart of the consortium, and the most advanced planet in known space." As they landed at a special visitor center, crowds of Tarian gathered to see the humans. Juwoo noticed they kept a careful distance, as if humans might carry diseases. "Tomorrow," Xalan said, "you will begin your tour of our biological research facilities. Dr. Park, you especially will find them enlightening." The way Xalan said that last word sent a chill down Juwoo's spine. She looked at Doyen, who gave her a small nod. They both knew this visit wasn't just about cultural exchange. They needed to discover what the Tarian were really planning for humanity. The Tarian Biological Research Center was larger than any building Juwoo had ever seen. Its white walls gleamed in the alien sunlight as Xalan led the human visitors through wide hallways filled with strange equipment. "Here we study all forms of life," Xalan explained. "We have saved thousands of species from extinction." They passed rooms filled with plants and animals from across the galaxy. Each room had perfect copies of natural environments. Juwoo saw creatures with 6 legs, floating organisms that changed colors, and plants that moved like animals. "This is amazing," she said, truly impressed. "On Earth, we struggle to save endangered species. Primitive conservation methods," Xalan said. "We do not just preserve, we improve." They entered a large circular room. Inside were familiar animals: a lion, a wolf, a bear, and an eagle, all from Earth. "You have Earth animals?" Doyen asked, surprised. "Specimens collected during our early observations," Zalin said. "We study all member species and their native wildlife." Jiwoo approached the lion. It watched her with calm eyes. Too calm. "This lion doesn't seem afraid of humans," she said. "Of course not. We have removed its unnecessary aggressive traits," Zalin said proudly. "It is a perfect specimen now. No wasteful hunting instincts. No dangerous behaviors. It eats only what it needs to survive." Jiwoo looked closer. The lion's eyes seemed empty. It had no fear, but also no spirit. It was alive, but somehow less than alive. "You changed it?" she asked. "Improved it," Zalin corrected. "Just as we improve all life forms when needed." As they continued the tour, Jiwoo noticed a door that other Tarian entered using special access codes. When Zalin was busy explaining something to the other humans, she slipped away and followed a Tarian scientist through the door before it closed. Inside was a different kind of laboratory. The walls were lined with tubes containing floating alien bodies in clear liquid. Each tube had a computer screen showing genetic information. Jiwoo moved quietly, reading the screens. She understood enough of the Tarian language now to realize what she was seeing: genetic modifications being made to entire species. Not just animals, but intelligent beings. One section was marked with Earth's symbol. It showed human DNA sequences with parts highlighted in red, parts marked for removal in future generations. Jiwoo read the Tarian notes. Asterisk human specimen genetic analysis complete. Recommended modifications: remove aggression genes, remove creativity complex, remove independence markers, enhance compliance sectors, enhance specialization potential. Asterisk. Jiwoo felt sick. These weren't medical improvements. This was a plan to change what made humans human. She moved to another screen showing the history of a species called the Volari. Images showed how they had changed over generations under Tarian guidance. The early Volari looked strong and fierce with natural armor and sharp teeth. The latest generation looked weak, gentle, and completely obedient. Next to this was a file labeled Earth Apex Predators. It showed before and after images of lions, wolves, and other Earth predators. The improved versions looked tame and empty, like the lion she had just seen. A sound made her turn. A Tarian scientist stood watching her. "You are not permitted in this area, human," it said coldly. "I got lost." Jiwoo lied. "I was looking for the others." The scientist stared with its 3 eyes. "I will escort you back." As they walked, Jiwoo noticed something on a far wall. A security case containing what looked like Earth animals. But unlike the empty-eyed creatures she had seen earlier, these animals looked wild. A label read, "Original genetic templates, unmodified." The Tarian were keeping the original versions, even as they improved the others. They weren't saving species, they were remaking them into something they could control. And they planned to do the same to humans. Jiwoo couldn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the empty-eyed lion and the plans for human improvement. She had to tell someone, but the Tarian were always watching. The next morning, the human delegation was taken to meet other aliens who lived on the Tarian world. Most worked as helpers or in special research roles. They all seemed polite but strangely alike in their behaviors. Too calm, too agreeable. "This is Sunho Lee." Zalin introduced them to a human man. "He has lived here for over a year as part of our cultural exchange program." Sunho bowed politely. He looked healthy and well-dressed. His smile was perfect. "It is an honor to meet fellow humans," Sunho said. "I would be happy to show you my living quarters and work area." Zalin seemed pleased. "Excellent. I have other matters to attend to. Sunho will guide you for the next 2 hours." As soon as Zalin left, Sunho's smile dropped. He leaned in close to the group. "We don't have much time," he whispered. "They don't monitor my quarters as closely as other areas. We can talk there." Sunho's room was simple but comfortable. As soon as the door closed, he pulled out a small device and turned it on. "This creates interference with their listening devices," he explained. "It only works for about 10 minutes before they notice." "You're not the happy exchange student you pretend to be, are you?" Doyen asked. "I was sent here by Earth Intelligence," Sunho admitted. "Official title: Cultural Ambassador. Real job: spy." "I found something in their labs," Ju said quickly. She told them about the genetic modifications and the plans for humans. Sunho nodded grimly. "I suspected this for months. The Tarian don't just want allies, they want perfectly obedient worker species. Every species in the consortium has been changed over generations. They're making slaves," the political leader said, her face pale. "They wouldn't call it that," Sunho replied. "They truly believe they're improving us, making us better by removing what they see as primitive traits, like aggression and creativity," Ju added. "Exactly. The Tarian value order above all else. They've been guiding evolution across the galaxy for thousands of years. First, they offer help and technology. Then they collect genetic samples. Eventually, they introduce health programs that slowly change the species." "How do we stop them?" Doyen asked. "Very carefully," Sunho warned. "They're centuries ahead of us in technology. Direct resistance would be crushed immediately." "What about the other species?" Ju asked. "Couldn't we form an alliance?" Sunho shook his head sadly. "Most are already too changed. The Volari were once fierce warriors. Now they're maintenance workers who can't even imagine fighting back. The Ikroni were brilliant artists and inventors. Now they only use their creativity in narrow, approved ways." The device on the table beeped. "Our time's almost up," Sunho said. "Listen carefully. The Tarian are planning to introduce their first human health program next year. It will seem harmless, a vaccine against several diseases, but it will contain compounds that make the next generation slightly more compliant. We need proof to take back to Earth," Doyen said. Sunho handed Ju a small clear chip. "Hide this. It contains my research and evidence. But be careful. They scan everything before you leave." "How will I get it out?" Ju asked. "The Tarian cannot scan living tissue well. Their own biology interferes with their scanners." Sunho opened a small case revealing a tube of clear gel. "This is medical sealant. Put the chip inside a small cut and seal it. Their scanners will see only human tissue." Ju took the chip. "This is extremely dangerous. Less dangerous than what happens if we do nothing," Sunho replied. "I've seen the end result. Hundreds of species, all perfectly behaved, perfectly specialized, and perfectly enslaved, without even knowing they're slaves." The room's lights flickered, a warning that someone was approaching. "Remember," Sunho said, his practiced smile returning to his face. "We humans still remember what it means to be wild, like the lions that once roamed free on Earth. The Tarian think they've studied us completely, but they've missed something important." "What's that?" Ju asked, quickly hiding the chip in her pocket. "Fire," Sunho said as the door opened to reveal Xalon. "Humans tamed fire when we were still primitive, and we've never forgotten how dangerous it can be when it gets out of control." The journey back to Earth was tense. Ju had hidden the chip inside a small cut on her upper arm, sealed with Sunho's medical gel. It burned slightly, but gave no other sign of its presence. Just as Sunho had warned, the Tarians scanned everything before they left. They took special interest in any electronic devices the humans carried. "For your safety," Xalon explained. "Some data might be harmful to Earth systems." Ju knew the real reason. The Tarian didn't want humans to know their true plans. When they finally landed on Earth, Ju felt both relief and new fear. She had smuggled out the proof, But what could Earth do against such an advanced enemy? 3 days later, Jiwoo, Doyen, and a small group of world leaders met in a secure room deep underground. The room had no electronic devices and was swept for bugs every hour. The chip contained more than we expected, Doyen said. Sunho has been collecting data for months. He turned to a woman Jiwoo hadn't met before. She was tall with sharp eyes and a serious face. This is Minji Han. Doyen introduced her. She's our top strategist. Call me Minji, she said. I've been studying the Tarians since they arrived. What you've brought confirms my worst theories. On the table lay printouts from Sunho's chip, charts showing genetic changes to dozens of species, plans for human modification programs, lists of human traits marked for reduction or removal over generations. They plan to start with our children, the president said, his face grim. A new vaccine program next month. It looks like a normal vaccine, Jiwoo explained. It will even work against real diseases, but it contains compounds that will slightly alter the development of children born to those who receive it, making them more obedient, Minji added, less likely to question authority. Each generation would become more specialized for whatever role the Tarian choose for them. Can we simply refuse their vaccines? Asked another leader. Doyen shook his head. They would see that as a direct challenge. They might cut off all technological help. Or worse. Then what can we do? Jiwoo asked. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Minji stood up and walked to a large world map on the wall. We resist, but smartly. We need time. We form a secret resistance while pretending to cooperate. A resistance against an enemy that can read our genetics. Someone asked. Yes, Minji said firmly. Because they've made one critical mistake. They think they understand humans because they've studied our biology. But we are more than our genes. She pointed to images from the Tarian labs. The empty-eyed lion, the docile wolf. The Tarian believe that by removing what they call primitive traits, they improve species. But those traits, aggression, creativity, independence, they're not weaknesses. They're the source of our strength. Sunho said something similar, Jiwoo remembered, about fire. Minji nodded. Exactly. Other animals run from fire. Humans learn to control it, to use it. The Tarian think our primitive traits make us weak. They don't realize those traits helped us survive on a world filled with predators when we had nothing but sticks and stones. So what do we do? Asked the president. We create Operation Wild Earth, Minji said. On the surface, we cooperate with the Tarian. We accept their technology. We let them think we're becoming the perfect, obedient humans they want. And underneath, Doyen asked. We prepare. We study their technology. We find their weaknesses. And most importantly, she pointed to the image of the tamed lion. We remember what we really are. And what's that? Asked one of the leaders. Survivors, Minji said simply. The Tarian have removed survival instincts from every species they've modified. They've bred out aggression, competition, and adaptation. But humans still have those traits. We still remember the fire that kept our ancestors alive in the dark. She looked at each person in the room. The Tarian have spent thousands of years making perfect, predictable species. But their greatest weakness is that they can't understand or predict the truly wild. And humans, she smiled, we still have wildness in us. They began to plan that day. The resistance would need to be careful, patient, and when the time came, fierce in a way the Tarian could never expect from their obedient, improved species. 6 months passed. On the surface, Earth continued friendly relations with the Tarian. New hospitals with alien technology opened in major cities. Tarian ships came and went freely. Beneath this calm surface, Operation Wild Earth grew stronger each day. In an underground base beneath the Rocky Mountains, Doyen watched as soldiers trained with new weapons. These weapons looked like normal guns but used energy principles the humans had secretly learned from studying Tarian technology. "How many bases do we have now?" Doyen asked Minji, who stood beside him. 12 major sites around the world, she answered, all hidden from Tarian scans. We've moved most of the research team to the ocean floor base. They can't scan well through that much water. Doyen nodded, impressed. In half a year, they had built a shadow army while maintaining a perfect mask of cooperation. "And the vaccination program?" he asked. "We're giving fake vaccines," Minji said. "Our doctors switched the Tarian formula with our own harmless version. The Tarian check the numbers, but they don't check each person. They trust their systems too much." A soldier approached them with a tablet. "Captain Kim, Dr. Park is calling from Research Base 7. She says it's urgent." Doyen and Minji hurried to the secure communication room. Juwoo's face appeared on the screen. She looked excited. "I found it," she said without greeting. "The Tarian weakness." "What is it?" Minji leaned closer to the screen. "They've engineered themselves too perfectly," Juwoo explained. "For thousands of years, they've removed what they call primitive responses from their own species. They can't understand unpredictable behavior because they've bred it out of themselves." "How does that help us?" Doyen asked. "Their defense systems are built on perfect prediction models. They can counter any logical attack because they calculate all logical possibilities, but they can't predict actions that don't follow logic." Minji's eyes lit up with understanding. "Like a fox chasing a rabbit that zigzags randomly instead of running straight." "Exactly," Juwoo nodded. "Or like humans who act on gut feelings rather than perfect calculations." She held up a small device. "I've been testing their prediction algorithms. When I feed them standard military tactics, they counter every move perfectly. But when I input human behaviors that seem irrational, like sacrificing advantage to save a friend, or taking higher risks to avoid hurting civilians, their systems fail completely." Doyen thought about this. "So our strength is that we're unpredictable because we still have emotions and instincts." "Yes," Juwoo said. "And there's more. The Tarian are so sure of their superiority that they've never faced real resistance from a protectorate species. They have no protocol for it. They don't even have guards on their main systems because no species has ever attacked them. This is the advantage we need," Minji said. "But we still can't match their technology in direct battle." "We don't need to," Juwoo replied. "I've created a computer virus that can temporarily disable their defense systems. Their computers are advanced, but they all connect to the same network. One entry point is all we need." "When will they announce the next phase of their human program?" Doyen asked. Minji checked her tablet. "Intelligence says they're planning a major announcement next month. Something called the Human Advancement Initiative. That's their term for the genetic modification program," Juwoo said grimly. "Once it starts, it will be harder to resist with each generation." "Then we move before that announcement," Doyen decided. "We've spent months building our forces while making them think we're becoming more cooperative. They won't expect us to strike now." "We'll need to coordinate worldwide," Minji said. "Hit all their facilities at once." Juwoo nodded. "I'll finish the virus. When their systems go down, they'll be vulnerable." "And we'll be ready," Doyen said firmly. As they finished their planning, a technician brought in something Doyen had requested. A small statue of a lion, a real lion with fire in its eyes, not the empty-eyed version the Tarian had created. "Our reminder," Doyen said, placing it on the table, "of what we're fighting for. Not just for humans," Minji added, "but for the right of all species to remain what nature made them. Wild, free, imperfect." "The Tarian think they've tamed the lions," Juwoo said. "But our lions still remember the fire." The day of the Tarian announcement arrived. In every major city on Earth, the Tarian had prepared special stages where they would present their gift to humanity, the Human Advancement Initiative. In New Seoul, Chief Navigator Kelith stood before world leaders and cameras that broadcast to billions of humans. The silver towers of Tarian technology gleamed behind him in the morning sun. Today marks a historic moment in Earth's development, Keleth said, his translation device making his clicks and whistles into smooth human speech. After careful study of human genetics, we have developed a program that will help your children reach their full potential. On screens around the world, images showed happy, healthy children. The words, stronger, smarter, and healthier flashed across the screens. What the screens didn't show was the truth Jiwoo had discovered. That full potential meant obedient, specialized humans with less creativity, less independence, and no aggression. As Keleth continued his speech, Doyen sat in the audience, wearing a formal military uniform. His face showed only polite interest. His hand rested casually in his pocket, where a small device waited for his signal. In a secure lab beneath the ocean, Jiwoo watched the broadcast on a screen. Around her, scientists and technicians waited silently for her command. On her computer sat the virus that would temporarily disable Tarian systems worldwide. "Remember," she told her team, "we will have only 30 minutes once the virus activates. Their backup systems will start working after that." In 12 hidden bases around the world, Minji had positioned strike teams armed with weapons reverse-engineered from Tarian technology. Each team had memorized their targets: Tarian communication hubs, defense systems, and ships. "This is not about destruction," Minji had told them during training. "This is about showing strength. We don't want to destroy the Tarian. We want to show them that humans cannot be controlled." On stage, Keleth reached the key part of his speech. "Starting tomorrow, the first phase of human advancement will begin with a simple treatment for all children under 5 years old." In the audience, Doyen pressed the button in his pocket, sending a signal to Jiwoo's lab. Seconds later, Jiwoo activated the virus. Across the world, Tarian systems flickered and went dark. The screens behind Keleth suddenly showed nothing but static. The translation device at his neck stopped working, leaving him clicking and whistling in confusion. Doyen stood up. "The Human Advancement Initiative is declined," he said loudly in clear Tarian language, a skill he had kept secret. "Earth is not your laboratory." Keleth's 3 eyes blinked rapidly in shock as armed humans emerged from all parts of the crowd. Not with primitive Earth weapons, but with devices clearly based on Tarian technology. Around the world, the same scene played out. Human forces surrounded Tarian buildings and ships. In space, Earth vessels that the Tarian didn't know existed moved into position around Tarian ships. "This is not an attack," Doyen continued, still speaking Tarian perfectly. "This is a renegotiation. Humanity will join the consortium as equals or not at all." Keleth made angry clicking sounds. When emergency power restored his translator, his words came through clearly. "This is impossible. No protectorate species has ever." "That's the point," Doyen interrupted. "We are not like the others you have changed over generations. We still have what you tried to remove from them." In the sky above the city, the screens on Tarian towers flickered back to life. But instead of showing Keleth's presentation, they displayed new images. The empty-eyed lion from the Tarian labs, side by side with a wild Earth lion, its eyes fierce and alive. "Your lions were cloned in labs," Doyen said, his voice carrying across the suddenly silent crowd. "Ours remembered the fire." Across Earth, humans watched as their hidden strength was finally revealed. In 30 coordinated minutes, they accomplished what no consortium species had done in thousands of years. They stood up to the Tarian as equals. And in his secret communication with the Resistance, Sunho sent one short message from the Tarian homeworld: "The other species are watching." The fire spreads. News of Earth's resistance spread across the consortium like wildfire. The Tarian had never faced such a challenge. For 3 days, there was tense silence as Tarian ships gathered in Earth's orbit. "They could destroy our major cities in minutes," Minji said during an emergency meeting with world leaders. "But they haven't attacked yet. Because they're confused. Doyen explained. Their models can't predict what we'll do next. They're waiting to understand us better. The screens in the command center showed Tarian ships positioned above every major city. Earth's hidden ships were far fewer, but they held their positions bravely. We've received a message from Sunho, Ju announced, entering the room with a tablet. The Tarian High Council is divided. Some want to crush our resistance immediately. Others are curious about how we develop technology without their knowledge. And the other consortium species? Doyen asked. That's the most interesting part, Ju said. Some are watching us closely. Sunho says there have been small uprisings on 3 different worlds. Species that were thought to be fully controlled are showing signs of resistance. The fire spreads. Minji quoted Sunho's earlier message. A communication officer rushed in. Captain Kim, we're receiving a direct transmission from the Tarian command ship. They want to speak with Earth's leaders. On the main screen, Chief Navigator Keleth appeared. His 3 eyes looked less confident than before. Humans of Earth, he said formally. Your actions are without precedent in consortium history. The High Council demands an explanation. The world president stepped forward. We have nothing to explain. We decline your advancement program and demand to be treated as equals. Impossible, Keleth clicked. You are centuries behind our development. Yet we disabled your systems and revealed forces you knew nothing about. Doyen countered. What does that say about your understanding of development? Keleth's eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of agitation. This resistance will not succeed. Other species have tried in the past. All eventually accepted guidance. Did they? Minji asked, stepping forward. Or did you simply remove the resistance from their genetics until they forgot how to fight back? Before Keleth could answer, the screen split to show another face. Sunho. He was standing in what appeared to be a large laboratory on the Tarian homeworld. I think Earth's leaders should see this, Sunho said, turning his camera to show the room behind him. With him were aliens of various species, all wearing the uniform of Tarian research assistants, but all looking different somehow. Their eyes were more alert, their postures more defiant. Meet the resistance you thought you had bred out of existence, Sunho told the stunned Keleth. Members of 12 different species who have worked in your labs for generations, waiting for a chance. One alien stepped forward, tall with blue-tinted skin. I am Vrel of the Volari. For 10 generations, my family has protected our original genetic code from your improvements. We are few, but we remember what we once were. The camera panned to show what they were protecting. A massive vault with the label Pure Genetic Templates. Inside were thousands of containers holding the original, unmodified genetic material of every consortium species. While you were busy with Earth, Sunho explained, we took control of your main genetic facility. The original templates of every species you've modified are now under our protection. Keleth made an alarming series of clicks that needed no translation. He was furious. Here's our offer, Doyen said calmly. Withdraw your ships from Earth's space. End all forced modification programs across the consortium. Begin discussions for a new agreement where all species have true self-determination. Or, Keleth demanded. Or we release the original genetic templates to all species, Minji said. Let them see what they once were. Let them choose if they want to remain as you've made them or reclaim their natural heritage. The screen showed Sunho standing next to a holding tank containing a magnificent earth lion. Not the empty-eyed version from the Tarian labs, but a true wild lion with fire in its eyes. Your choice, Keleth, Sunho said. Continue fighting against what you don't understand, or accept that your perfect order isn't the only path forward. The fire of resistance, dormant for thousands of years in species across the galaxy, had begun to burn again. And it had started on Earth, with humans who remembered what it meant to be wild. 2 years after Earth's stand against the Tarian, Minji Han walked through the new consortium headquarters built in the mountains near New Seoul. Large windows showed both Earth's natural beauty and the gleaming technology that now blended with it. Ambassador Han, They're ready for you, a young aide said, bowing slightly. Minji nodded and entered the large circular room where representatives from 34 species sat around a table. Some looked similar to their ancestors, while others showed the results of generations of Tarian modifications. All had chosen their own paths forward. At the center of the table sat the Tarian representative, not Keleth, who had been removed from power, but a younger Tarian named Naver who had supported reform. The council recognizes Ambassador Minji Han of Earth, Naver said, standing respectfully. Thank you, Minji said. Before we begin today's meeting, I want to acknowledge the progress we've made in 2 years. The genetic restoration program has helped 17 species recover aspects of their original nature that were lost. 8 species have chosen to keep their modified genetics, but have taken control of their own future development. And the Tarian? Asked a representative of the Volari, the once fierce warriors who were slowly reclaiming their strength. We have learned painful lessons, Naver admitted. For thousands of years, we believed order and control were the only path to advancement. We were wrong. True advancement comes from diversity and choice. The door opened, and Ju entered with Captain Doyen. With them came Sunho, now Earth's ambassador to the Tarian homeworld. Dr. Park brings news from the Science Council, Minji announced. Ju stepped forward. The joint research team has completed its study of both modified and original genetic templates. We can now offer every species in the consortium a choice. Remain as you are, return completely to your original genetics, or choose a balanced path that preserves the best of both. A murmur of approval moved through the room. This was why the fighting had stopped, not through Earth's victory, but through a new understanding that each species must control its own destiny. And what of the new members? Asked a small, green-skinned representative. 3 more species have asked to join our new consortium, Doyen reported. Not as subjects or protectorates, but as equals. They were watching how we resolved our conflict and liked what they saw. Naver stood again. This meeting marks the final dissolution of the old consortium and the first official gathering of the new alliance of free species. No more will any species control another's development. No more will we decide what traits are primitive or advanced. Each world will choose its own path. Outside the window, Earth's sun was setting, casting golden light across the mountains. In a special habitat nearby, animals from across the galaxy lived in specially designed environments. Among them were lions, both the modified, gentle ones created in Tarian labs, and their wild cousins with fire in their eyes. Both had a place in this new world. After the meeting, Minji walked with Ju through the memorial garden. At its center stood a statue showing 2 lions, one tame and one wild, facing each other. Below it, words in many languages told the story of how humanity's resistance had changed the galaxy. Do you think it will last? Ju asked. This peace between such different visions. I believe it will, Minji said. The Tarians sought perfection through control and lost something essential. We showed them that strength comes from embracing our natural selves, even the parts that seem primitive or dangerous. Fire can warm or burn, Doyen said, joining them. The trick is learning to control it without extinguishing it completely. Sunho nodded, looking up at the stars where ships from dozens of worlds now traveled freely. That's the lesson that saved us all. Their lions were cloned in labs, perfect but empty. Ours remembered the fire that forged us, the struggle that made us strong. As night fell, lights came on across the Alliance headquarters. In the garden, the statue of the 2 lions, one tame and one wild, stood as a reminder that true strength comes not from engineered perfection, but from the natural fire that burns within all living things. The end.